Welcome back to this series of Black Hat Executive Spotlights. Terry Sweeney here with Black Hat. Joining me now is Emmanuel Gra, VP of Identity with Tenable. Emmanuel, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Terry. Thanks for having me.
We are here to discuss Active Directory security in the cloud age. But before we get there, it's worth noting that earlier this year in April, Tenable acquired Alcid, a leader in Active Directory security. From that acquisition has come Tenable AD. Tell us more about what TAD brings to customers within the broader Tenable technology portfolio.
So basically what this acquisition is and allows Tenable to do is to combine risk-based vulnerability management with AD security. And if you look at what Gartner says about AD, the estimate is that 90% of the organizations worldwide run AD. And AD, if you look at it from a risk perspective, it really concentrates risk. The more services, the more application, the more identities rely on AD, the bigger the blast radius and the bigger the disruptions and gravity of security incidents. The bigger they are when something happens. So basically, you cannot really say risk-based vulnerability management without saying AD security. And within the portfolio, what TAD brings is the ability to find and fix AD weaknesses, misconfiguration, but also break attack paths that an attacker might use to gain initial privilege and then move laterally and then escalate to reach its target. So it basically prevention, detection, and a risk-based view on what AD security is.
So as you alluded to just a few minutes ago, Active Directory was developed as an on-premises solution. That's its history. Still runs in lots of corporate environments around the world. Tell us more about what Active Directory is, though, today, as more and more workloads get basically pushed out to the cloud.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is recent news showed that and proved that AD is the cornerstone in cloud adoption, and the most widely known one is the SolarWinds hack, which showed that the attacker can move in a hybrid environment with part of the attack happening on premises on AD, which is the identity provider that is used, and then through identity federation or some dependencies that some cloud workload had on the system, the attacker was able to move around. So if you pair today's cloud criticality with also the complexity and some intrinsic weaknesses of what the typical AD infrastructure is, you get a pretty nice cocktail. And also what we are seeing is that AD attacks are peaking in popularity. You have both the SolarWinds, so highly technical and elite, but also you have the regular ransomware attack that also leverage AD to move laterally and encrypt everything. So AD is really in the cloud age at the center of enabling trust within organization and infrastructures. And this is why we must look at it. It's a 20 years old technology that is still very much and maybe even more relevant today.
And obviously, Active Directory scales well for the cloud scale that it needs to operate on.
Yeah, exactly. It allows company to quickly adopt all these cloud technologies while also do that in a continuous way by leveraging their own AD infrastructure, migrating some workloads in the cloud, keeping some workloads on-prem for confidentiality reasons, for example, and allowing them to embrace the cloud much quicker. So a sane and hardened AD means that cloud adoption is so much easier and so much quicker than with an AD that is in a really bad shape.
Shifting gears slightly, cybersecurity incidents have been in the headlines all year with more frequency than any of us would like. Tell us about some of the big trends that you're seeing that are suggested by those headlines, and maybe more importantly, how they affect customers.
Well, I guess it's obvious to say, but it has profound implication on our industry is remote working. And basically what it did, I mean, first thing, it's here to stay. Companies are adopting this hybrid work environment. So both, I mean, from home and on premises, and it's here to stay. And what it did from an IT security perspective is that it expanded the corporate attack surface. You have to defend. I mean, the old castle and moat model basically just blew away, and now the identity is at the core of a sound strategy. And so first of all, this is that identity. Take care of your identities. Have a strong strategy and hardening and processes and technologies around identity protection. Monitor your attack surface. I mean, before everybody was working in the offices, now everybody must be able to access every services and every corporate app from anywhere they might be working. So the attack surface, I mean, exploded, and it has to be monitored. And I alluded to that earlier, but we are really seeing an explosion in terms of attack variety, both the almost nation state attacks, the most advanced like SolarWinds, but also attacks that became just a way to generate business, just a way to make money, like ransomware. I encrypt your file, I ask for a few Bitcoins, and then you give me. So there is this whole scope and variety and spectrum of attacks. And when you mix that with a broadened attack surface that is continuously, I mean, evolving, it's also pretty difficult to tackle. So I guess my words of advice would be, in those days, monitoring exposure is key. Every CISO in the world must be able to have a proper view of what their exposure are, how strong the AD is, and do that continuously. I mean, if you save one day, tomorrow a new change, a new app might introduce a new misconfiguration or new vulnerabilities, and you're a CISO, you want to be aware of that. And secondly, hybrid is the norm. We have to embrace that, and we have to protect against those most advanced cyber attacks that go from cloud to compromise on-prem, from on-prem to compromise cloud, jump from cloud to cloud. I think it's where the battle is for tomorrow and where we should put our efforts on.
Great stuff, Emmanuel. Thanks for the perspective on Active Directory security in the cloud age. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you very much, Terry.
We've been talking with Emmanuel Gras, Vice President of Identity with Tenable. This has been Terry Sweeney for Black Hat. Thank you for joining us for this Black Hat Executive Spotlight Series. See you next time.